Good morning, everyone. Call to order the September 18th work session and regular meeting of the Grant County Board of Commission. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, as the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Brett, man.
We know it wasn't going to be.
I did. Approval of the agenda for both the work session and regular meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda for the work and regular session.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carried. Report from Gila Regional Medical Center, Ms. Arias. And Mr. Phillips. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair and fellow commissioners. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you about what's been going on in our hospital over the past few months. And good morning, audience. Thank you for having us. We're very excited because we've embarked on several processes that I think that you will also have an appreciation for. Two of those processes have to do with total patients. And this concept is surrounding something called engagement, and the other concept is patient experience. When we talk about patient experience and improving that whole process, this starts from the moment they walk in our doors. It starts with the ambiance of the rooms they come into. It starts with how they're greeted in the very beginning. It starts with every touch point that patient has with any of our staff or any of our caregivers along the way until they leave our hospital. Sometimes this is for ambulatory services, sometimes this is for surgery procedures, sometimes this is for inpatient or for psychiatric care. So this is very, very important because to the patient, when they come in the hospital, that patient experience, this is what they consider to be quality of care. People don't understand all the technical things that go on in their stay. They don't understand the fancy equipment. In fact, they're very afraid of it. They don't understand the technical terms, again, a foreign language to most people. But what they do understand is how they are treated. How they are treated at each touch point, to know that they are not a disease process. They are not a doctor's patient. They are not a bill that we're going to be sending out, but a human being that has a family, that has a mortgage, that has pets, that has a job that they don't even know if they'll be able to keep because they don't even know what's really wrong with them. So this patient experience that we are embarking on, it touches every single person that works at our hospital and every single department. So we have a whole committee that is surrounding this patient experience because we value this so greatly. People have a choice about where they want to receive care, and they have many choices. What makes a difference is not what they see as being quality, but what they feel as being quality. And that is what brings volume to your hospital. So I will tell you now that we have also been recruiting like crazy. We're very excited about it. We have one offer out for one surgeon. We have 2 more surgeons coming in. We also have an offer out for the full-time oncology, but we also have 2 other people that we're interviewing for the same position. So we're very excited about this. We also have posted 4 full-time nurse practitioners to help open our clinics that, as you know, is on our strategic plan for the expansion of family medicine. And our podiatrist will be coming in the end of October, so we're feverishly trying to put an office space together for him so he can feel warm and comfortable in his work environment, as I know you will all make him feel in his living environment in Silver City. The last thing I would like to tell you before turning this over to Richard is that, I think it was a little over a month ago that we announced that we were able to do a salary increase for our full-time and part-time bedside nursing staff. We have also moved on to another department in our hospital, and as of this week, and they don't know this yet, but they will know it, I guess, by the time we get back to the hospital. But our environmental services folks, our housekeepers, and our linen services, which wash and clean and take care of all the linens that is used in our hospital, they are also getting an increase up to 7.5%. So, as you know, these people are very, very responsible for the cleanliness of our hospital, which is one of the reportable measures to CMS. And so how could we not give them their increase and show them how valuable they truly are to our organization? So as we go through all of the metrics in building our revenue for the hospital and building our businesses, we will be looking at other groups of personnel so that we can also give them their just increases as we go through. So do I have any questions?
Not at this point, thanks.
All right, I'll turn it over to Richard.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Okay, so I know you have my report that we sent you yesterday. Hope you've had a chance to look at it. I apologize for getting a little bit late again. There's a little mix up on the calendars. But anyway, going through my report for July, which is the first month of our fiscal year, the hospital system lost a total of $514,000. Now, to put that into perspective, I'd like for you, to draw your attention to the bottom right-hand quadrant of the overview. This time last year, the hospital system had a $1.557 million loss. So, year over year, we've had a $1,043,000 improvement in our operations given last year. Now, we aren't satisfied with showing a loss for the month. But we did have some census issues in June and July, as you recall, at our last meeting we discussed. Fortunately, that trend has been reversing itself slowly but surely, so we expect a better August month. As we look down on, further down on the overview section, we have an EBITDA loss of $112,000, and that, in essence, very loosely interpreted means that we spent $112,000 in cash coming out of our bank account. So we're a little bit negative cash flow for the month of July. But again, compared to last year, we had a EBITDA loss of $1.191 million, so a significant improvement year over year. Notes of interest you've seen. We continue to monitor unbilled. I'm reporting a $3 million balance in unbilled, but I explained up that in the explanation, meaning that true unbilled ran about $1.5 million, which is about where we anticipate it's going to run month over month. We also, on August 22nd, went live with Meditech 615. And that was as you all know, that was a huge project for the hospital. It wasn't just a technical issue or project that we had to solve. We had to prove to ourselves as an organization that we could take on a major project and get it implemented and get it implemented on time. Now, having said that, we did go live 1 minute past our anticipated go live date, or time that is. So I'm really proud of our staff, all the way from the nurses to the pharmacy to radiology, lab, information technology, financial services. We all had a piece in making sure this update went well. We had several issues that came up as a result of the upgrade. The vast majority of them were resolved within 24 hours. The last major issue that did not affect patient care but was an issue for our records was resolved yesterday. So, along with Hilo Regional Medical Center on the Big Island of Hawaii also had a like issue. And so once we identified that the issues were identical, Meditech switched their primary beta site from Hilo to Silver City. And so we got to upgrade the code first. We tested it first, and now I believe today Hilo will be getting the fix. So.
To make the change?
Yes, sir.
You didn't have to answer that.
All right, so we've also had, once we went live with 615, we had a major step up in our pharmacy module, which was critical to improving net revenue. This was I can't overstate the importance of this update within the pharmacy module itself. Moving on to page 2, as you can see, as I indicated earlier, we were challenged by some census for July. So we were 16 admits lower in July than we were July of 17. Patient days were down by 82. Average length of stay was 2.8 versus 3.1 last year. So we were challenged from a census perspective, and you can go on down the outpatient side and you'll see, surgeries were down in July, oncology visits were up by 16 over this time last year, and our births were down. But here's where the rubber hits the road. In July, we collected $4.17 million through our business office activities, versus 3.5 last year. Well, if you look at the previous 2 months, we were a little bit down from the previous 2 months. So we have corrected that issue. Well, it really wasn't a correction. It really had to do with while we were going through the transition in August, we slowed down some activity within our revenue cycle to give leeway for the pending update. Profitability again lost $514,000. We've got some more work to do. On the third page of my report, a look ahead, and so again, what's really important is how well we can collect cash. So we projected when I compiled this data for our board, we projected $4.8 million in collections for August. So that was an uptick. Where we ended was at $5.4 million, which was 140% of our net revenue for our target goal. So we did very well in our collections. That's an indication that the revenue cycle is continuing to improve. I have set goals with our team members that we have set goals for our AR days to be 45. Now the timing of that I will let you know at the next meeting, but that's our goal. I've also set a goal of $6 million in cash collections there is no doubt in my mind we can hit that at some point, not consistently, but as we continue to improve our revenue cycle processes, it will improve cash collections in the hospital. Okay, that was my report real quick. Any questions?
Questions? No. I'm looking at, do you have any? I was looking at, couldn't help but notice the oncology activity. And what's the explanation for which looks like a significant downtrend of service, patient appointment, patient visits there? And that could be for Taffy or whoever wants to answer that.
Yeah, so again, in July, I want to be careful about what I say here. So we know in July, patient volumes appear to be normally down in July. As far as access to care, I'm not aware of any barrier to that, so it may just be a blip. I do know that number is back up in August,
Okay.
so we should, it might just be a blip, and unfortunately, for me at least, trending data and reliable data is something that's going to continue to take another good 6 months to where when we look back a year ago, the data, at least from my perspective, I can rely on it, that it's good data. So, but in this case, I think it's just a normal fluctuation down in patient activity.
Okay. Any other questions? Sure appreciate your time. Thank you.
I did have one other thing to share with you, and I apologize for not remembering this, but in that patient experience that I was talking about, one of the areas that we know is the front door of our hospital is the emergency department and all of the services that go along with it. We are working with ANOVA we have a very strong relationship with them, and we are working on that patient experience in the emergency department setting individually. One of the things that we are doing is we're working on a fast track area that will be right when you come in past triage. This is for the lower level of severity patients that come in, and what we want is someone posed out there so that they will be able to get this group of patients in and out within 60 minutes of them hitting the door. This will be a great benefit for the patients, and it will also allow the internal part of the emergency department to really focus on those emergent patients and those most severe patients. So it will debulk that area. Also, we're working on the internal areas in the floor. So when a patient is admitted and we have admitting orders, that patient can go up within 30 minutes of that decision being made. That is not as simple as it looks. It looks like, well, of course, you just give a report and off you go. But there's a whole slew of things that go along with it. Hospitalists, attending physicians, other physicians that need to be involved in this whole process that the emergency physician depends on for ease of access. So in all of our areas, we're working also in ease of access, so when a patient schedules something, that it is a much more rapid process to get them scheduled for outpatient testing.
Okay. What's that? She's in the light. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks for your time. At this time, we'd like to allow public input. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. You don't have to take the whole 5 minutes, and please watch if there will be some repetition, we understand, but please try to avoid repeating what's been said over and over. Any individual who would like to discuss an item in more length than 5 minutes may request to be placed on a future agenda, and those request forms are available in the county manager's office. It's my understanding that there's some people that need to make it to work. If you're one of those, would you raise your hand and go first? Yes, thank you. For public comment. And please state your name for the record.
Thank you. I'm Fiona Bailey, and I am currently a teacher and assistant principal at Aldo Leopold Charter School.
The white button, the mic will come on.
So again, my name is Fiona Bailey, and I'm currently the Title I reading teacher and assistant principal at Aldo Leopold Charter School. I am also the chair of a nonprofit here in town, TLC for Dyslexia and Academic Success, and we're just so happy that on your agenda today you are voting on the proclamation to make October Dyslexia Awareness Month. I've brought my inspiration for getting into the area of dyslexia, my daughter, Margaret Bailey, who was diagnosed with dyslexia when she was in 2nd grade, and she's a senior in high school now. And then I brought 3 of my current students, who are middle schoolers, and they are working in a reading program called Take Flight that was developed by the Scottish Rite, and it takes them through all of the phonics and phonemic awareness that it takes to learn to read when somebody has a brain that's wired differently, and that's how we like to think of dyslexia. It's not a disability, it's just a difference in how the brain is wired, and therefore needs different approaches to learn to read. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Further public comment? Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Lorna Rubelman, and I asked to speak early because of my strong desire to get to a yoga class. I'm a voter. I'm also a member of Great Old Broads for Wilderness. I'm on the board of the chapter of the ACLU, and I'm here to request that you oppose construction of the border wall in your resolution today. I'm not speaking for everybody in those organizations I belong to, although everybody that I have spoken with in those organizations are opposed. But I am asking you to help us build our community in what has become a very hostile and divisive environment. And thank you very much for welcoming our input and suggestions on this. And I would hope that when it comes up today for a vote, that you will pass the resolution against the border wall. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment from anyone? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Edwards, Commissioner Castro, Chair Billings. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Simon Ortiz. I live in Silver City. I am a former business owner and entrepreneur. I am retired, and I'm progressing towards complete uselessness in a very short time. This is a very presumptive moment. I'm here because there is a possibility that Howie Morales' seat will be vacated if he is elected. I'm here to remind you that the commissioners are a very integral part of the nominating and replacement process. I have visited the commissions of Socorro County last week and the commissions of Catron County. So I want to remind you that if Howie does get elected to Lieutenant Governor, that there's a vacancy, I will be seeking your support as a possible replacement. You will nominate several people, and I'm hoping that if that happens, my name is on the list. If it does not happen and Howie's not elected, I at least thank you for this opportunity. I've never seen Harry in a suit. So that alone is worth my visit here. And Harry, I ran over a bicycle in the parking lot. I hope it's not yours. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Further public comment?
Good morning. Just want to express our support for the issue regarding the building of the border wall. Just to remind you, historically, all that country belongs to the Chiricahua Apache and the Warm Springs Apache. Joe, sorry about that. So again, it's just to express our support. The Native organizations in this region opposed any building of a border wall. That country is still ours, no matter who believes that you own it. It is our country, and we're here to protect it. For the animals, the plants, everything, the waters that come out of that country, that come through our country and into our country, we support no border wall. Thank you.
Thank you. By raise of hand, any further public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, my name is Rachel Sierra, and I'm the Executive Director of El Refugio, and I just wanted to say thank you for putting us on your agenda to either approve or disapprove the proclamation to make October Domestic Violence Awareness Month in this county. So I want to say thank you. I did bring a flyer and I put it on the table with all our activities for October, starting with a proclamation on October 1st at the Women's Club at 9. We will have law enforcement drive up in their vehicles while we place a purple magnet that says Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So the different branches from the law enforcement will be part of that. And I did want to say that in 2017, we did not have any deaths in the Grand County, in this local community, and up to today, currently, we have not had any with domestic violence. So we're doing something right. Doesn't mean it has stopped, but we have had no deaths, and lives matter. So I want to say thank you for putting this on your agenda and for making this an important thing, because this is our community, and lives do matter, and we are valuable. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I just have a question to the commission. There are several people here who want to speak on the no border wall resolution. Do you prefer to hear from us now or when you take up the resolution?
I think now.
I'm sorry?
Now, yes.
Okay. In that case, if I may, my name is Mary Lynn Newell. I've been before you before, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here again. I'm the member of the Great Old Broads, and we are the ones who have asked the county to pass this resolution against the border wall. I have provided you with different materials in addition to supporting the resolution as written. And the commission had some questions when I first approached back in February, when we first came here and asked to do some additional work and address some concerns. And we have since done as best we can on that, I hope. But the bottom line still comes down to our concern is the environmental damage to the ecosystems that is going to occur by building structures such as the border wall. That is why communities all along the border have started passing these resolutions and gotten this done, because we're part of the environment too, and the damage that comes from all of this is going to affect us, and it's going to affect our community in particular. The resolution that says, yes, Grant County is a beautiful, healthy, diverse, and unique place. This area we live in is a gem. It is also a linchpin in this massive network of wildlife corridors and biodiversity and genetic diversity, etc., reaching from Mexico all the way up through to Canada. And it's very important that we not take this casually. There are people who have come here from out of this area, and they come here because they come here to enjoy our wilderness and go hiking and use the Continental Divide Trail and bicycle through it and go hunting and do all of these things. And they recognize how important this area is, and they have a vested interest too. They're stakeholders as well as we are in preserving our area and keeping it from further harm. There's already been a lot of harm from encroachment by just human progress and roads and things of that nature. And in Grant County, where ecotourism and economic outdoor recreational activities are so important in bringing people to this community for hunting, for fishing, for hiking. Families come from all over to enjoy our area. We have a pristine wilderness. This is really important. The proposed border wall will impact all of that, would hurt this community financially, environmentally, and it would prevent a kind of destruction that this area cannot recover from once these populations start decreasing. When I came before you, I had certain information and presented that in written form as well as discussed it, but now we have a couple new reports that have come out. First of all, and most importantly, the GAO report to Congress, which came out in July 2018. That had a confidential report that came out in June, but this one is a public report, and it talks about evaluating designs and locations from the border barriers, and it says that the Border Patrol is proceeding without key information, that this is going forward and it's not properly vetted, which is the problem. That's what Great Old Broad stands for. 30 laws were waived in order to push this through. And these laws should be put back in place and studies should be done so we know, is this the most helpful thing to put in place? Is that there are other alternatives to it? We discussed these before, the possibility of drones, more Border Patrol on the border, which is what ranchers have spoken to and wanted, both here and in Arizona. And I'd like to do one quote from that Federal Government Accountability Report. DHS plans to spend billions of dollars developing and deploying new barriers along the southwest border. However, by proceeding without key information on cost, acquisition baselines, and the contributions of previous barrier and technology deployments, it faces an increased risk that the border wall system program will cost more than projected, take longer than planned, or not fully perform as expected. Without assessing costs when prioritizing locations for future barriers, CBP does not have complete information to determine whether it is using its limited resources in the most cost-effective manner. The concern about a border wall is about whether we
You have
need
about 30 seconds left.
Thank you. Whether we need it, whether it's effective, how it's going to impact our communities and our long-term health of our environment here, which again is so important here. And I'd like to put out one last thing. There was another report that came out on impacts of the border walls that is important in saying that whatever is going on here, border walls do not make the U.S. safer. They cause tremendous environmental destruction. They've inflicted serious damage on border communities. They contribute to a humanitarian crisis that's going on.
Sorry about that.
So you have those references. I request that you pass the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about the alarm. I didn't know that was set. Further public comment? Yes, sir.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Hey, Adia. My name's Lakin Jordahl. I work with the Center for Biological Diversity. We're a nonprofit focused on saving endangered species from extinction and protecting the habitats they live in. I'm here to speak in favor of the resolution against the border wall. My organization's been working to protect wildlife in the borderlands for almost 30 years, and we actually got our start right here in Grant County, in one of my favorite places in the entire world, up in the Gila Wilderness. So I came today to speak this morning because I know that more miles of border wall would be a disaster for wildlife and for public lands in the border region, and because the border wall would be an absolutely senseless waste of American taxpayer funds. It's really important when we talk about the border wall. We have to understand that the U.S.-Mexico borderlands are one of the most biodiverse regions in the world. It's a whole lot more than lizards and rocks and tumbleweeds. Our borderlands are a bridge between continents, between tropical and montane climates. They're one of the only places in the world where species like the jaguar exist in the same place as black bears. In total, 93 threatened and endangered species live in the borderlands, and over 2 million acres of designated critical habitat exists within 50 miles of the actual borderline. So our actions on the border may well decide the recovery or demise for a lot of these species. These are incredible species like the ocelot, the peninsular bighorn sheep, the cactus ferruginous pygmy owl, and our perennial favorite, the jaguar. More miles of border wall in New Mexico will interfere with critical genetic interchange between animals. More miles of border wall will halt migratory pathways and affect the biological integrity of the entire region, not just the area destroyed by the actual construction of the wall. The border wall will undoubtedly affect wildlife in Grant County. Though I don't live here in Grant County, I come here to recreate and spend my weekends and my money because I love this place and I've come to really, really care deeply about it. This county, as you guys know, quite literally holds the most pristine wilderness in the Southwest, the best hunting grounds in the Southwest, and the most phenomenal recreational lands in the Southwest. And much of this is due to the incredible connectivity this region has to surrounding and neighboring wildlands. If we construct an impenetrable barrier sealing us off from all that lies to the south, this outstanding genetic health and resilience will be compromised. That hurts all of us, and it also hurts our economies that depend and function on hunters, wildlife watchers, and recreationalists too. So not only is the border wall a disaster for wildlife, it's also a disaster for our pocketbooks. Like Mary Len said, building a wall is outrageously expensive. It's a false solution that will not stop drugs or people from crossing our border. Even Steve Pierce has said as much. I was in Calexico, California, where 3 new miles of 30-foot high border wall was constructed this spring. People were calling this the first new miles of Trump's wall. Within days of the barrier going up, there were rope ladders hanging over the wall, and people were crossing again. Border walls do not stop people. Now we're proposing to spend $25 to $70 billion on a wall that can be overcome with a $20 rope ladder from Home Depot. There's lots of Home Depots in Mexico, by the way. It makes absolutely no sense. Even the Government Accountability Office, a nonpartisan research arm to Congress, determined this summer that the effectiveness of border walls has never been proven. Our own government here is saying that there's no evidence to suggest that border walls actually stop people from crossing. The GAO in the same report recommends that we halt construction of walls until we can actually prove that they work at stopping drugs and people, and I think most of us would agree. I think most of us would agree with GAO and with Steve Pierce that there are better ways to achieve border security, that there are cheaper ways to achieve border security, and that there are ways to achieve border security without decimating the environments that we depend on to survive. By passing this resolution, Grant County will stand with 35 other counties, cities, and tribal nations across the borderlands who call for a halt to border wall construction in our backyards, a halt to the senseless abuse of taxpayer funds, and a halt to the environmental devastation caused by this needless and ineffective project. I hope you guys will consider voting yes, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Further public comment?
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Smith, and I am here speaking on behalf of the Great Old Broads for Wilderness, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Silver City, and SEEDS, Securing Economic and Energy Democracy. All of these organizations are very opposed to the border wall for the reasons you have just heard. We are for healthy, strong, vibrant communities, both human on both sides of the border and wild. Please vote to oppose this sham of a wall. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment? Yes, sir.
My name is Charles LeBlanc. I'm not here right now speaking as a member of the fire department, okay? I'm speaking on behalf of myself. Every state in the United States that has an international airport has got a border wall. I want you to think about that. When you get off of an airplane coming in from any country in the world, you have to go through U.S. Customs and Immigrations. And there's a reason for that. And that reason is to keep our country safe. And the only way that we can do that is to regulate who comes in and goes out. Now, we can, as a country and as a county, say, we don't want a border wall because we want people to come back and forth. We don't want fentanyl in our country. We don't want illegal aliens in our country. And when I say illegal aliens, there is a way to legally come into this country, and it's through immigration, natural immigration. I have worked in every country in Central America except Costa Rica. I have worked in 5 different countries in South America. I have worked in the Caribbean, and I have worked in Europe. And I can tell you now that every country that I have gone into, I have had to go through customs and immigrations in those countries because they want safety for their country. They want to regulate who comes in. They want to keep the bad guys out. Now, as far as the ecological system with the border wall, I understand the concerns, but we do have to think about our young people, and we have to think about the economy. And our economy that is paying for people, that is allowing people to come in and having to pay for them being here, that's your responsibility. How are you going to pay for these things? How is our country going to continue to pay for a larger and larger border patrol? You know, a wall does not require retirement pay. It does not require health care for a border patrol agent. So that's money that we save by having a border wall. That border wall will not retire. It may someday be torn down when the problems in Central America have been solved. But until then, we're going to be continually enlarging our border patrol. We're going to continue to be paying more money for those border patrol agents to be out there. And it's a dangerous job as well. So my thing is, for the folks that have the ecology, I understand. And I don't want to see our ecology ruined. I want to see continued animals crossing the borders and such. But I'm more concerned about our children. I'm more concerned about the financial health of our country because we are continued to having to pay more money for the problems that exist in Central America. That is not your responsibility as a county. Or our responsibility as a county. It's our government's responsibility. Let them fix the problems in Central America that are causing this rush of people to come across the border. I thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you. Further public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Rothwell. I'm a recent immigrant to the state of New Mexico from the state of Florida. And I have no notes that I made. I did not intend to speak today. But I would like to speak to 2 points, and I tend to wander, so I don't care if you put an alarm to let me stop. But I'm speaking for myself only as an observer, having lived on both coasts and having lived in interior states all around the world, having lived in South America. Spent 33 years in Los Angeles. Now, if there's an economic issue with people moving in, I want to give a dire example of the state of Florida as a border, okay? We have had a man-made border, which isn't a wall, and it didn't stop people, but we built dams across the state when we had a free, I'm talking as a generalist about economic issues and about ecological issues that I know a little bit about. Because we built that dam, which blocked a natural flowing river coming north-south in the state, we blocked 4 sugar farmers and supposedly for putting cattle in the state. And that caused, over the years, I mean, this is the history of Florida, and nobody saw it coming. And because of that, we now have this, I forgot the term, the green scum that comes, the ecological destruction, basically, of the southern part of the state. And I'm just speaking in generalist terms. I'm not a scientist or anything like that. But I've observed it, and I've observed going to the beach and having the scum around, and knowing what it's doing to the animals and the people. So if you're worried about from an economic situation, I have to disagree with the gentleman that was just here. This is a waste of money, and a border does not stop. I came from LA. I lived 33 years. I know. Yes, we have to take responsibility for a lot of what's happening in Central America because we exported our people down there, our drug people. So I know the history of it. I'm 70 years old. I've lived in LA a long time. Do not blame people coming from those countries, South America, Central America. Take responsibility for the fact that we sent them there. Many of the people that were deported, that lived in LA and deported to Central America, I speak also as having a little bit of anthropology background. We exported our culture to them of gangs. They did not have gangs in that culture. So I'm very emotional about this. So I'm in opposition to any kind of ridiculous idea that a wall can stop people. This country was built on immigrants, and to think that, yes, we have to regulate and keep ourselves safe. We do not keep ourselves safe by not taking responsibility for, it's not other people, it's not the others that are coming in and attacking us. So anyway, I'm in opposition to a stupid, physical thing that is, anyway, that I'm wandering. I'm in opposition to building a border wall. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. Further public comment?
Seeing none, we'll consider the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions proposed for the minutes? If not, is there a
Mr.
motion?
Chair, I move that we approve the August 14th work session minutes, the August 16th regular meeting minutes, and the August 20th special meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Financial report.
Yes, go ahead, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You have an expenditure report in front of you for approval. The total of this report is $1,807,254.88. And I'm going to go over the checks that were issued over the amount of $10,000. There's a check to New Mexico Association of Counties in the amount of $18,000, and this is for the participation fees for fiscal year 2019. A check to Wright Express Fleet Services in the amount of $32,620.82, and this is for the July fuel charges. A check to Western Builders in the amount of $20,870.60, and this is for the final billing for the Santa Rita Fire Station. A check to Fuel Center Plus in the amount of $19,359.60, and this is for off-road diesel for the road equipment. A check to Bank of Albuquerque in the amount of $379,134.84, and this is for the debt service payment for the refunding bond series 2014. A check to Caterpillar Financial Services in the amount of $11,977.93, and this is for lease payments for some road department equipment. This is for the month of August and September. A check to David Stevens Core Values in the amount of $49,998.29, and this is for the August 2018 inmate healthcare services. A check to Hub International Insurance in the amount of $37,188, and this is for the 2018-19 accident renewal policy for the volunteer fire departments. A check to Southwest Solid Waste Authority in the amount of $44,571.29, and this is for the July 2018 tipping fees. A check to Gila Regional Medical Center in the amount of $43,050.05, and this is for the July indigent claims. A check to Bob Turner Ford Country in the amount of $22,583, and this is for a 2018 Ford pickup truck for the road department. A check to Ascent Aviation in the amount of $19,977.16, and this is for the August jet fuel purchase. A check to Summit Food Services in the amount of $22,558.64, and this is for the July inmate meals and medical snacks. And a check to Grant County in the amount of $22,629.26, and this is for the May and June admin and fleet maintenance fees and services for Correcaminos, and that last check isn't on your list, okay? And then this also includes payroll checks for pay period 17 and 18, totaling $414,184.62. Any questions?
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve the expenditure report as presented.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, thanks, Linda. New business. Approve or disapprove proclamation declaring the month of October 2018 as Dyslexia Awareness Month. Sorry?
Kevin's going to read.
Yeah, Kevin, you can read that first.
Whereas an estimated 1/5 of Americans are affected by dyslexia, a language-based disorder which is characterized by difficulties with speaking, reading, and written expression. And whereas dyslexia can affect a person's ability to speak, read, write, and spell, as well as a person's ability to put things in order and follow instructions. And whereas with proper diagnosis, appropriate instruction, hard work, and support from their families, teachers, and friends, individuals with dyslexia can excel in school and later as working adults. And whereas, in an effort to assist parents, educators, and individuals with dyslexia, the International Dyslexia Association, the Southwest branch of the International Dyslexia Association, and the Learning Center for Dyslexia and Academic Success in Grant County are designating October as Dyslexia Awareness Month. And now, therefore, the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the month of October 2018 be declared as Dyslexia Awareness Month. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and seal of the County of Grant to be affixed in Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico, this 18th day of September 2018.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the proclamation designating Dyslexia Awareness Month.
I'll second that. Any discussion? I guess, being that it is Dyslexia Awareness Month, I don't think my second son, who's in his 30s now, would mind me saying that he was in special education programs until the 10th grade because of dyslexia, and although he excelled in math and science and scored high on those tests, he had he was about in the 5th percentile in spelling and really struggled with that. There were some teachers that he could very passionately tell you about who didn't understand his condition and the suffering that they put him through, trying to thinking they were helping him. So I'm glad that we're having a Dyslexia Awareness Month. He can make a case like no other why spelling is not important, and because we have spell checkers, and that's what people who can spell are for. I think he's very successful. He lives in a house that's twice as big as mine and has a nice family and a nice job. And there is hope for people with this condition, and one of the best hopes is for people who don't understand the condition to be aware of it and get out of their way and help let them excel where they can. So, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Is there anyone to take a picture with? Okay.
We'll get her later.
Approve or disapprove proclamation declaring Grant County Fair Days. Mr. Laurie, would you like to speak to that? Sorry, lawyer.
Boy, I'm not a lawyer. No, the students have been working all year. Some of them about the last 6 months on their animals. They're out at Cliff right now. They're getting them ready to show. The show will be on Thursday, and we'll have a sale on Saturday. Hopefully everybody will come out and bid on some of those animals. The kids have worked real hard, and I'm just here to get the county to approve the declaration for the fair for the week.
Okay. Ken, did you read that motion?
Chairman, members of the board, whereas the Grant County Fair has been serving the community for over 65 years, and whereas the hallmarks of the fair are education, celebration, and tradition, and the Grant County Fair has stood strong in its dedication to the presentation of quality, family-oriented education and entertainment, and whereas the Grant County Fair promotes our community and its resources and has been a showplace for the arts and talents of local residents of all ages and abilities, and whereas 2018 marks the 70th annual Grant County Fair, which will be held on September 19 through 23rd, 2018, at the fairgrounds located in Cliff, New Mexico, and whereas all Grant County residents and visitors are encouraged to attend and participate in this year's fair activities, now therefore the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim September 19 through 23rd, 2018 be declared as Grant County Fair Days. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and seal of the County of Grant to be affixed in Silver City, Grant County, in Mexico, the 18th day of September, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the proclamation declaring September 19th through the 23rd, 2018 as Grant County Fair Days.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Can we have a picture with you?
Yeah.
Billy. Oh. You bet, sir. All you do and then we have two more. Thank you. Consummate salesman, I love it.
Next item on the agenda is approve or disapprove proclamation declaring the month of October 2018 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Rachel Sierra? You already spoke to us. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Thank you. Can you read that proclamation, Kevin?
Whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to the systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and or abuse, and whereas domestic violence leaves an imprint of fear and hostility, and whereas the problem of domestic violence is not confined to any group or groups of people but cross all economic, racial, affectional preference, and social barriers, thereby affecting society as a whole. And whereas in Grant County, adults and children are victims of domestic violence each year from July 2017 to June 2018, a total of 453 victims, women, men, and children, got help at our local domestic violence agency, El Refugio, Inc. And whereas Grant County Commissioners are committed to restoring the right to freedom from fear in our homes and in our communities, and whereas Grant County has a moral obligation to work to prevent domestic violence, address its brutal and destructive effects, and make ending domestic violence a local priority. And whereas it is our quest to impose sanctions on those who break the law by perpetrating violence, we must meet the needs of victims in domestic violence and their children who often suffer grave financial, physical, and psychological losses. And whereas important partnerships have been formed among criminal and juvenile agencies, healthcare providers, allied professionals, and victim services to assist victims of domestic violence and their families. And whereas we dedicate ourselves to protecting vulnerable members of our community, and now therefore be it resolved that in recognition of the fight against domestic violence, in cooperation with El Refugio Incorporated, Grant County Commissioners do hereby proclaim the month of October 2018 be declared as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We urge all citizens, agencies, and businesses to work together as a team in our community through prevention, intervention, and public awareness to eliminate domestic violence and become a community that upholds a zero-tolerance commitment against domestic violence. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and seal of the County of Grant to be affixed in Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico, this 18th day of September 2018.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we declare October Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Any discussion? I'd just like to say to Rachel's comments that I was invited by an old family friend to go to an event up at El Refugio where family members and friends of those who had lost their lives through domestic violence were there, and they let balloons go in honor of their loved ones and their friends who had lost their lives. And the number of balloons that was let go, in each one representing a life who had died in this area from domestic violence, was alarming and staggering to me. I was glad to hear that no one has lost their life this year, recognizing that it is still a problem. And it was what started out as pretty much a political event for me turned out to be an emotional event, and recognizing as they spoke on those and those people, most of them ladies. I think there was one man, the rest female, who had lost their lives, and the extended lives that were affected by that forever of mothers and fathers and children and brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews of those affected. What was staggering. So I'm glad we're considering this proclamation today. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Oh, Mike, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, I'd like to extend my thanks to all the support for the El Refugio. I was one of the members that put the organization together 30 years ago. And, to me, when we put that together, we knew there was a need, and I want to thank you for your support, but more than anything else, I'd like to thank all of the members of El Refugio over the 30 years that have made this a successful program and helped a lot of people. So I just be remiss if I didn't extend my thanks to you and to all of them for the work that they do.
Thank you. Would you take a photo with us, please? All who are here from El Refugio, if you want. There's quite a group here. Next item on the agenda, I'll turn that over to Commissioner Edwards to introduce that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to just say a few words. So I'm sponsoring this with my Healthy Kids, Healthy Communities hat on. I just want to acknowledge that fresh, locally grown food is critically important to the health and nutrition and well-being of our children in this community and also to our economy. And we are doing this proclamation to honor all of the participation of food producers in Grant County and their past, present, and future partnerships with our schools to provide fresh local food to our children. So, Kevin, are you going to read this? Okay. And when he's finished, I'll introduce the folks that are here to accept the proclamation.
Okay, thanks.
Members of the board, whereas October is celebrated as National Farm to School Month through the Congressional Act H.R. 1655 of 2010 that encourages, 1, schools and local education agencies to use locally grown foods and meals, and 2, schools, farmers, farm groups, ranchers, nonprofit institutions, businesses, churches, city, county, and state government, and other local groups to raise awareness of farm-to-school efforts in their communities. And whereas October 1st through 5th is celebrated as New Mexico Grown Week, honoring New Mexico's vibrant food, farming, and ranching culture that is significant to the rural economy and provides employment opportunities on farm, indirect, wholesale, institutional, and retail opportunities in food processing, distribution, and value-added businesses. And whereas studies have shown that for every dollar that goes to local agricultural producers, $1.80 is circulated in the local economy. And whereas New Mexico grown food for school meals will enhance the diets of more than 336,000 students, promoting healthier lifestyles and increasing academic achievement. And whereas an investment in children's health will help stem the rise in childhood obesity in New Mexico, where 34% of children are overweight or obese. And whereas having nutritional programs and farm-to-school activities that start with very young children benefits every childhood development. And whereas school nutrition programs provided through the National School Lunch and Breakfast Programs provide millions of healthy and nutritious meals to school children throughout New Mexico. And whereas school nutrition programs not only feed hungry children and support family well-being, they also act as economic stabilizers during economic downturns. And whereas a growing number of New Mexico's community and school gardens provide an important way for children and their families to engage in growing food, learn about nutrition and life sciences, and whereas to achieve these goals, programs such as local and school-based farm-to-school initiatives, school nutrition programs, FFA, 4-H, Food Corps, AmeriCorps, county extension offices, food policy councils, health equity partnerships, and many other organizations and agencies help to coordinate programs and make the connections between health, the built environment, and policies. And whereas enough consistent funding for programs like the ones mentioned above that promote healthier lifestyles and academic achievement is a wise investment in our children, schools, agricultural economy, and our future. And now, therefore, the Grant County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the month of October 2018 be declared as Farm to School Month, and the week of October 1st through 5th, 2018, as New Mexico Grown Week in honor of the partnership between New Mexico farmers, ranchers, and public schools. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and seal of the County of Grant to be affixed in Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico, this 18th day of September, 2018.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, I'd like to introduce Judy O'Loughlin, the Grant County Extension Director in Consumer Science. I lost that last word, sorry, Judy. Ben Rasmussen, the Center for Frontier Communities and the Director of the Southwest New Mexico Food Hub. Rhonda Torres, Director of Student Nutrition for Silver Schools. And Deborah Van Tellingen, thank you, President of the Copper Cowbells, and Pat Hunt, past President of the Copper Cowbells, and Andrea Warner, Director of the Silver City Farmers Market. These folks are just a small representation of the many folks in Grant County that are food producers and an integral part of our local food economy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks. The motion to
Oh, there has to be a motion. Sorry.
Did any of those mentioned want to speak on behalf of this proclamation? Tammy, can we say? Yeah, Mrs. Vandeligen, sorry.
I know, it happens all the time.
I told Alicia how to say it, then I can't say it.
It's okay. I mean, you see what happens with my husband when he goes to the doctor's office or whatever, they're like, and he knows it's him. So, anyway, I just wanted to thank Alicia for asking the Copper Cowbells to come and represent us, and we're really happy to work with you. And if anybody that knows me knows that I'm extremely passionate about the ranching community here in Silver City, Grant County, and supporting the ranchers and the beef producers and the Western way of life. And that's what the Copper Cowbells are, well, that's what we do, and we also are promoting beef education. So anyway, this is what you want to do, and this October is really kind of right up our alley. So it's a perfect fit. So we're looking very much forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Anybody else want to say anything?
We'll get a photo taken. Oh, no, we need to.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to approve proclamation declaring the month of October 2018 as Farm to School Month and the week of October 1st through the 5th, 2018 as New Mexico Grown Week.
I'll proudly second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Now, photo op. Okay, we have a certificate presentation for 3 newly certified Pinos Altos Volunteer Fire Department firefighters. Mr. Villa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. When I took the fire management position for Grant County in June of 2013, one of my goals was to work with the volunteer fire districts to try to get the ISO rating down, and thus would bring more funding to the departments and to the county for training and equipment. My second goal was to try to help train the volunteers in order to have a more qualified firefighting response. And so over a year ago, Whiskey Creek Fire Department, Tyrone, Fort Bear talked about putting together a pilot program where we would train the firefighters in conjunction with the New Mexico Firefighting Academy in Socorro, where we would do the training and they would administer the test for us to try to get qualified firefighters. So it took many hours of training. As you know, it's been over a year. We started with 18. Today, I'm glad to say that we have 3 that have actually finished the course and have qualified and have really gotten their certificates, and that's why we're here today. In the process, we still have at least 3 to 5 more that will be coming through this first cadet program, so I'm happy to announce that. How it works is you have to have 40 hours of hazmat training, along with practical tests, which is ladder carrying, hose laying, knot tying, firefighting, of course, understanding donning and doffing of gear, which means putting it on and taking it off in a certain amount of time, hoisting equipment up when firefighters need it on top of roofs and so forth. So it's a practical test that the Fire Academy puts on. And then along with that, you have to take a written test, which is, I think, 100 questions? Is it 100? 150 questions. And so you have to pass all of this in order to get your firefighter 1 and 2. So there are some people I'd like to thank Whiskey Creek Firefighter Chief Daniel Salais, Fort Bear Fire Chief and Chairman of the Rural Fire Chiefs Association, Joseph Chavez, and of course who's with me today, Roger Groves, who's the Vice Chair of the Rural Fire Chiefs Association and the Tyrone Fire Chief. Also some others to thank, Eloy Vasquez, Assistant Chief at Tyrone, Michael Cox, Battalion Chief at Tyrone, and all the other chiefs of the 9 districts, along with Silver City Fire Chief Milo Lambert, who helped minister the test for the Academy. So this is a big thing for us because, again, I wanted to get back to, we have over 300 volunteer firefighters, and I think it was important that people don't look to us just as volunteers and as paid firefighters, because we train at the same academy, we go through the same training qualifications, and we get the same certificates for firefighter 1 and 2 training. So this is a big deal for us. Again, it was the first cadet class. So first of all, I want to introduce the Battalion Chief for PA Volunteer Fire Department, the Wagon Wheel Station, Lawrence Rubin. I know him as Larry, but on the certificate it says Lawrence. So Chief, if you would give him the certificate. Second, Lieutenant from the Cottage Sand Station, also Pinos Altos Volunteer Fire Department, Mr. Edward Donard. And of course, last but not least, that everybody knows Mr. Buck Burns, firefighter with the Pinos Altos Volunteer Fire Department, Station 1. Sure.
I should say, you're great. Yeah.
So again, these are our first, out of 18, our first 3 cadets for the very first pilot program that we put together. We're really proud of them. Again, if you look, they're all from Pinos Altos Volunteer Fire Department, and they're all 3 from different stations within the Volunteer Fire Department. So we look forward to bringing more people in front of you as we get the rest of them certified and get their pass test. So thank you. Unless you have any questions, that's all I have.
Mr. Chairman? I just want to say congratulations to the 3 of you guys for going through all that for the Grant County residents, and thank you, Randy and Roger, for being so diligent on getting this set up where we have this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd just like to echo that, and thank you for your service and your volunteer spirit. Thank you.
And I think it goes without saying, the commissioners and the county manager as well, thanking you guys for all your support over the years, for allowing us to buy the equipment, for understanding, the cost of all that. But with that training and with bringing those ISO ratings down, it gives us more resources to buy the kind of equipment we're going to need to better serve the community of Grand County. So thank you.
Agenda item J, Manager Webb.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is to approve out-of-state travel for Misha Ladish to attend the Trails and Economic Development Forum in Boulder, Colorado, October 22nd through the 24th. Misha was invited to attend this conference. It was an invitation only. All of the expenses will either be prepaid or reimbursed, and so we are asking for your approval to allow his out-of-state travel.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve out-of-state travel for Misha Ladish to attend the Trails and Economic Development Forum in Boulder, Colorado, October 22nd through the 24th, 2018.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Jealous. So you got to give us a piece of that action.
Let's see, what's in Boulder? Is that where the Coors beer plant is?
Nope.
No, well, that's in Golden, never mind.
Rest assured, there are many beer plants.
Okay. Agenda item K, Manager Webb.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is to approve, disapprove the appointment of Shooting Range Advisory Board member. We had a vacancy created by the resignation of Philip Mickey back in June or July. The Shooting Range Advisory Board is recommending the appointment of Dean Foster to fill this vacancy.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I move to appoint Dean Foster to the Shooting Range Advisory Board. Second that motion?
Any discussion?
I'd just like to say we really appreciate that there were 2 applicants, actually. It doesn't always happen with these kinds of jobs, and I think both applicants were good, but Mr. Foster's resume is very impressive.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda item L, Manager Webb.
Approve, disapprove special management inmates policy and procedure to process inmate correspondence, publications, and packages. This are policies for the detention center. We discussed it briefly at the last meeting, and we have had a chance to have our council review this, as well as council at New Mexico Counties and Loss Prevention, and so we recommend approval of these policies and procedures.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve special management inmates policies and procedures to process inmate correspondence, publications, and packages.
Second.
Did you just second? I was second.
Oh, yeah. No, I was asking for a second.
Yes, second.
Any discussion?
I could have asked for this before, and I don't need it now, but something that indicates the changes would be useful from our current policy, and maybe I missed something, but when I was reading through it later than I should have, I didn't know what I was comparing it to.
Okay, we'll do that in the future.
Thanks a lot. No, it's also my fault.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda item M, Manager Webb.
Approve, disapprove Corey Caminos' final budget for fiscal year 2019. Kim Dominguez, our Director of Corey Caminos, is here to go over those. Just briefly go over the highlights of that, please.
Good morning.
Good morning. So just real quickly, there were no increases in administrative expenses. So it's same as last fiscal year, last budget. In operating, we did receive a 4% increase, which allows for a 4% increase in driver salaries and their benefits. And in capital, once again, we put in or we were awarded 1 bus purchase.
Is there a motion?
Approve the Caminos budget for fiscal year 19 as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Agreements. Agenda item N, again, Manager Webb.
Approve, disapprove agreement A1826 between the Department of Finance and Administration acting through the Local Government Division to plan, design, construct, furnish, and equip improvements and upgrades at the Grant County Detention Center. This is the total outlay agreement for appropriations made in the last legislative session. This is for $50,000 to provide some upgrades to the security system at the detention center.
Mr. Chairman? Yes, sir. I move to approve 1826. I'd second that motion.
Any discussion?
I just want to note that we also have detention center improvements on the Vaughn question, and those are not duplicative of this, right? I want to just make that clear to everyone. Great.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda item O, Charlene.
Approve, disapprove agreement A1827 between the Department of Finance and Administration acting through the Local Government Division to purchase and equip vehicles for the Grant County Sheriff's Department. This also is a capital outlay agreement for appropriation made in the last legislative session in the amount of $60,000 to purchase and equip vehicles for the Sheriff's Department.
Chair, I move that we approve agreement number A1827 for the purchase of vehicles for the Grant County Sheriff's Department. We don't have a second yet.
Oh, sure. I'll second.
And then questions, sure.
It says vehicles plural. Does $60,000 really buy more than one?
It's to equip them.
It's to purchase and equip. So
we'll get about one then somehow.
1.5. What we've done is we have supplemented capital outlay with other funds, and he's been able to purchase 2. He uses some LAPF money, some money that we allocate in the general fund and that. So that's the plan to do this year as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Resolutions. Agenda item P, again, Manager Webb.
Approve, disapprove, amended, and restated Resolution R-1826, authorizing the execution and delivery of a Colonias Infrastructure Project Fund loan grant agreement by and among the New Mexico Colonias Infrastructure Board, the New Mexico Finance Authority, and Grant County for the purpose of financing the cost of Rosedale Road Phase 2 reconstruction and safety improvements in the total amount of $1.1 million. The Colonias Board awarded an additional $21,190 to Grant County, which fully funds what our application was for. We requested $1.1 million, and the addition of this $21,000 matches that, which doesn't happen very often. So we're very thankful that we were able to receive this additional funding, and would strongly encourage your approval of this resolution.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve amended and restated resolution number R-18-26.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Go ahead, Manager Webb.
Item Q, approve, disapprove resolution number R-1831, a resolution to apply for funding from the New Mexico Water Trust Board for the North Hurley Drainage Project. I'm going to yield to Misha on this so he can give you an explanation of this project and how this resolution, or how this funding source ties in.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chairman, Commissioners. So we apply for Colonias funding almost every year, and I do anticipate doing another resolution a little bit later on when the Colonias funding comes due. But the North Hurley project, due to it having the drainage aspects of it, is something that we can tie to the Water Trust Board. So I am requesting your authority to allow me to apply for that funding also, and hopefully we can get funded through the Water Trust Board and not have to depend on Colonias to get this project done also.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve R-1831.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda.
Item R, approve, disapprove resolution R-1833, amending the Grant County purchasing policy. And Commissioner Brown, I'll apologize up front, we did not redline this document either. But what this does is it changes the section for small purchases, quotes, and competitive purchases to match current state statute. Ours was considerably different, and so what this does is increases the thresholds from our previous policy to match what is in state statute for consistency purposes.
I'm a lot more familiar with this subject.
That you might be.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution R-1833.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item S, Mansell.
Item S is approve, disapprove resolution R-1834, a resolution of support and financial commitment for the Corey Caminos transportation system. This is a resolution we do each year that states what our cash commitment for our financial commitment is going to be to Corey Caminos, and this is submitted with her budget and is included in her budget. So the match for Grant County is $220,000. $80,000 of that is cash, and $140,000 is the administrative fees, which, if you remember, we talked about that in the budget. And so this actually flows and does not create a deficit as it has in years past. So I once again want to commend Kim for what she's done with the budget, and and bringing Corey Camino's to running in the black. So this gives us the ability to make our $220,000 match with no further impact to the general fund.
Sure, I'd be happy to move again. We approve Resolution R 1834 in support in providing financial commitment for Corey Camino's transportation services. Second. And I have a question. I've been trying to figure out the administrative fees. Where do those originate? Where does that $140,000 start?
It starts with the funding that she puts in her budget.
But no, I mean the actual money. Because I was trying to grapple with, is it in kind, or is it provided by riders?
Well, so you have federal money coming down that she's awarded, so it's an administrative fee for us acting as the fiscal agent, which we have never received in the past.
So we receive it, but then we pay it out.
So then we turn around and pay it back. So it kind of washes, but it hasn't always happened in the past because we've
paid it out but not received it?
Correct.
Okay, so when we receive it, though, it's starting from the feds? Okay. That's the part I wasn't sure about.
It's confusing, and it's taken me several years to grasp it, and Kim can attest to that because I ask her every year to explain it to me. So it is complicated.
Yeah. All right, thanks. I'm happy to vote on that.
Mr. Chair, I just want to acknowledge Kim's hard work on the budget, and thank you very much for doing a great job.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda item, I crossed it out, T, I think.
Yes, sir, T. Approve, disapprove Resolution R 1835, a resolution adopting infrastructure capital improvement plans for the Members Valley and Gila Senior Centers. So this is exactly the same as our ICIP plan that we adopted for the county. We have to submit a separate ICIP plan for the senior centers, and so that's what this is for.
We're actually submitting this to AAA.
It goes to the same location that we submit ours. It's just, it has to be separated out because the capital outlay that comes from seniors comes from a different pot of money.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve resolution number R 18-35.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Agenda item U, would you like to present that?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, this is a resolution relating to the United States Administration's Executive Order 13767, declaring the Grant County Commission's opposition to the proposed construction of a border wall along the U.S.-Mexican border.
Okay, very well. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve resolution number R 18-36.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and second. Is there any discussion?
I guess I would like to add a comment. I appreciate the drafting of this. I think it's all the points in it are valid, and yet it leaves out what is to me the strongest argument for this, which is a humanitarian argument. And this was mentioned by some of the speakers, but not by all. I have relatives and many friends who've gone out to try to save lives of the folks who cross. And of course, they fail often. Thousands of people die trying to avoid these walls. And these are not criminals. The criminals have the resources to get across safely. The folks who are desperate are the folks who don't have those resources. And the more walls we build, the more lives we endanger and, frankly, I believe, terminate. That we are responsible for killing hundreds of, probably thousands of people, good people trying to do better for their families. And it sickens me that my country does this. So I certainly support this resolution, and I wish there were at least a mention of the humanitarian aspect of this question. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So I'm not going to be able to support this for a couple of reasons. And I fully understand where you're coming from. One of the things I think it needs to be in here is that the Grant County Commission does support border security. However, I don't believe that an all-inclusive
statement of no wall whatsoever anywhere is the way to go, I think. And when I met with the ladies, I explained that I couldn't vote for something that said no wall anywhere. I do think that something that asks the federal government to put more time and effort into virtual walls, more border patrol on the border, in their studying, somewhat like we did with the flyover stuff. Ask them, say, you know, we understand the plight and what you're trying to do. Make sure you have done all your due diligence prior to just going and doing something completely one way without doing it. I could probably support something like that. I don't know that we have time today to re-wordsmith this, but I would be happy to work with somebody if they wanted to get something like that. So, just so you know, I'm not trying to be sneaky.
So, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Caston, I would bring to your attention that the last paragraph does actually ask for a thorough and comprehensive analysis to the alternatives. So, if we can work with that language to meet your needs, that would be great.
To me, this is more of a federal issue that should be taken up with the federal legislators, representatives, and congressmen. When I campaigned on a goal of tending to the county's business. I understand with the arguments presented today that many of you think this is the county's business. I think we should be more focused than that, and I don't consider it the county's business. I will not vote in favor of this resolution. All in favor?
Should be tabled to see if we can rework it. Would you like to withdraw this resolution and see if we can rework it?
Sure. How does that work?
You say I would like to
And a second, so I guess you need to withdraw
That's what I'm
that
suggesting.
motion, and then you would go on to a tabling motion.
So, Mr. Chair, if it pleases the Commission, I would suggest that I would withdraw my motion and instead make a motion that we table resolution number R18-36 for further review.
I don't know if I have to withdraw a second, but I do. Okay. I don't think I do.
There's a motion to table. Does that need a second?
Yes.
Is there a second? Oh, okay, sorry. Then all in favor? Aye. Motion carries to table. Agenda item B, approve or disapprove resolution R1837. This is Manager Webbs again.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I would like to request to table this until October. There's a few more details we needed to work out, and we weren't quite ready for this meeting today, so I would request we table till October.
I'll move to table R1837.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. That will be tabled. Agenda item W.
Approve, disapprove resolution R1838, certificate of property tax rates and mills for the tax year of 2018. This is an annual action of the Commission certifying the rates. Mr. Assessor?
Mr. Chairman, board members, good morning, starters, and we did receive our rates on September 7th, late, and actually there has been no changes. The only thing that was changed was also in the mining district, and I have spoke about it where they did increase the resolution in Bear, Hurley, and Santa Clara. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. And if you want me to go into detail of it, just let me know. But that was the only increase was in the mining district. They actually did pass a resolution for the municipalities, so that was the only increase. Ladies.
Vice Chair.
Madam Vice Chair, I move that we approve resolution number R1838, certifying property tax rates for tax year 2018.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Moving on to bids and requests for proposals, item X. Manager Webb.
Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners, award reject request for proposals for professional services, RFP 1805, and contract regarding engineering. This is to award a one-year contract to Stantec Consulting Services for engineering services.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve RFP 1805.
Second that motion, and I want to clarify, this is unrelated to any prior issues with Stantec, is that right? This is not related to an appeal?
Correct.
Okay.
We negotiated a contract with them. It's the same process, but we finally reached.
Well, it is related.
Well,
It's
yes,
the
it
result
is.
of
It's
that
the same
process.
RFP, so yes.
Thank you, that's what I needed to be reminded of. Great.
Sorry,
Well, I'm glad-
misunderstood your question.
No, my question was not well framed. In that case, I'm really happy you've done this. Thanks.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Moving on to item Y, award or reject request for, Manager Webb.
Award reject request for proposals for professional services, RFP 1901, and contract regarding banking services. Steve, do you want to talk a little bit about this since it affects you most of all?
Well, we did go through the RFP process, and after reviewing the applicants, we had 3 applicants, and they were evaluated, and we determined that Wells Fargo had the better proposal. There were increases from our previous agreement with them, but there were increases in the revenues that they would be allowing our deposits to accumulate, which offset the actual costs that are the fees that are charged to us. So the recommendation of the RFP review committee, I guess, is to accept the Wells Fargo proposal. Unless there are any questions or...
Mr. Treasurer, could you tell me please who was on the committee?
There was Randy Hernandez, myself, Jacob Zamora, and Liz Hernandez.
Kevin.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin. Oh, sorry about that. Kevin was also.
Mr. Treasurer, did the committee include any consideration for the local nature of the bidders? I believe we're allowed to include maybe 5% or so toward
Yes, we did, and there were points issued for the local. Yeah, the matrix was all set up, and it was amazingly close, you know, it was close, but yet there was a distinction, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Madam Vice Chair, I move that we award RFP 1901 to Wells Fargo.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Now we know what the 3-person commission worked like.
Right. Moving on to item Z. Manager Webb.
Award rejects request for proposals for professional services, RFP 1902, and contracts regarding surveying. So we released an RFP for surveying services, and we had 2 proposals, and we are recommending award to both firms of Also Glenn Surveying, which is a local firm, and Sauber Miller and Associates that will be out of the Las Cruces office. So we're recommending awarding contracts to both firms.
Manager Webb, can you explain to us how that works? how do you decide which contractor will get an award at any given time? If you have two contractors that are doing it.
So in this case, some of the items, Sauter Miller may have been cheaper than Alsup's or vice versa. So if it is, for example, if we have, we'll use an example of when we installed the sign at the conference center, we needed a simple, quick survey. So ideally, we would call on a local surveyor, so we wouldn't have to pay the expenses and extra time for someone to come from out of town. So what we do is we use who is best suited for the project. Sauter Miller may have some more resources that Alsup doesn't have for larger projects and vice versa. So it's also based a lot on availability.
Well, I just want to say that I appreciate your structuring this so that we could do as much business possible locally. Thank you.
And so these were actual proposals with costs, they were not RFQs, because I thought surveying might do that way.
They were qualification based, but they submit their cost proposal as well, although we don't score that in there, but it's something that we can take into consideration. The procurement code does allow that, but it is qualification based. And they both met all of the minimum qualifications of the RFP.
And so then you negotiated them.
And because there was only two proposals, we recommended awarding to both. And we wanted to make sure that we included the local firm.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Vice Chair, I move that we approve the awarding of contracts to both Alsup Land Surveying and Sauter Miller and Associates.
Second. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Chairman, we are just starting item 12.
Thank you. Is there a motion to recess as the Grant County Board of Commissioners and call to order the Grant County Healthcare Claims Board? We have two items on the agenda, approve or disapprove the August 2018 health plan claims in the amount of $14,181.95. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the health plan claims of $14,181.95. Second.
All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And the other item is approve or disapprove indigent burial from Bacchus Funeral Chapel.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the indigent burial from Bacchus Funeral Chapel.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adjourn as the Grant County Health Care? Okay. Second. All in favor? Aye. County reports. Mr. Carrillo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commission members, my report for this reporting period is item number 1, our facility update. Currently, the detention facility has 4 vacancies. One newly hired applicant is scheduled to start employment in 2 weeks. There's currently 2 applicants participating in the hiring process. Item number 2 on our training update, Sergeant Galindo, this month, Corporal Jurado attended the accredited field training officers course. Corporal Jurado will now be assigned the newly hired officers, and he'll train them in the second phase of their training curriculum. Sergeant Galindo provided 160 hours of training to the newly hired officers, and they were Officer Gomez and Officer Dominguez. And he'll continue with the Narcan training is also being given to the newly hired officers. Item number 3 on our inmate intervention, there was no committee meetings that were scheduled for this reporting period. Item number 4 on the community report, the Grant County Detention Center will sponsor a Narcan training for all interested individuals in the community. The training is scheduled for September 20th, 2018 at the Convention Center. The trainer will be Bernie Liebing. He's the overdose prevention coordinator for the Department of Health, and we welcome all of the interested individuals to attend the training. I think it's very important with everything that's happening with the opioid addiction. So I think it'd be very valuable for everybody in the community or anybody else, first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, if they'd like to attend, to please go down to the community center, and this is very valuable training. Item number 5 on our recognition award program. For this month, we have selected Sergeant Galindo The reason being Sergeant Galindo continuously displays his dedication and loyalty to the Grant County Detention Center. Sergeant Galindo goes beyond his normal duties to help cover shifts, transports, and mentoring young officers without hesitation, along with being our training sergeant. Administrative staff is appreciative for Sergeant Galindo's dedication to duty, and for his dedication, he's been nominated as Employee of the Month. Item number 6 on our detention facility statistics. The average daily population for September 12th was 82, 6 more than last reporting period. High population males was 63, 3 more than last reporting period. High population females was 19, 4 more than last reporting period. Currently for September 12, 2018, there are 82 inmates in the facility, and there was 5 more than last month booked into the facility. And the CJ I-5 report is for your review. Item number 7 on our monthly total report, the agency reports for August 2018, Silver City Police Department 57, Grant County Sheriff's Department 45, New Mexico State Police 16, Baird Police had 7, Santa Clara 4, Hurley Police had 5, Game and Fish had 1, and we had 1 probation and parolee that's in the facility. And there are 4 inmates being held for another facility during this reporting period, and they're from Hidalgo County. The detention facility transports, probation warrants, and special management statistics. 19 district court transports. Division 1, we had 31. Magistrate Court, Division 2, we had 0, and we had no other court transports for this reporting period. Medical transport during this reporting period total 17. The total number of transports equals 67 as compared to 56 last month, and that increase is due to a little higher medical transports than we had from last reporting period, and also Magistrate Court Division 1 had an increase in court transports. Probation violations, we had 30. Parole violations, we had 1. Inmates awaiting transport to a sentence facility or rehabilitation center, total 5. Total inmates charged with warrants during this reporting period of 56. Total number of special management inmates for September 12, total 6. My report, sir.
Go ahead.
Mike, a couple of things. First one is, how are we getting the word out that anyone who's interested could attend the Narcan training?
What we did now is we put this out on the internet. We sent some mailers out, and we contacted all the law enforcement agencies and just interested individuals. We tried to do something with the media to get the word out, so we've tried to cover all our bases now.
And now we can get the media to follow up on that, right?
Yes, ma'am, I hope so.
The second thing is, I recognize that you are a very busy person, and I don't want to unduly add to your responsibilities, but I'd like to know if it would be possible to have the detention statistics, the things that you itemize in this report is under number 6, 7, and 9. Not sure how that happened. Probably supposed to be 6, 7, and 8. Would it be possible to see that data in the form of a graph so that we can see visually how, what the ups and downs are, what the flow is of things like, so I know that you have, 3 more males than last reporting period, but I don't know how that compares to this time last year or the previous 6 months. Would it be too much trouble to ask for that?
No, ma'am, I can work on that for you. What I'll do is I'll get on our XJO and see what we can come up with as far as developing some kind of a graph. Would you would like that in item 6, or just is there any particular one of these statistics that you'd like for me to develop that?
Or if not a graph, would just a historical perspective be good?
Well, I have a tendency to think of in graphs because I'm very visual, but whatever is easiest so that we can I would just like to see what the trends are.
Okay.
And I'd actually like to have all the data that's in 6, 7, and 8 today. I'd like to see all of that in some way that I can look at trends. Now, if this is going to take you, hours and hours and hours of time to figure out, then we should figure out something different. But if it's not that difficult to pull the report in a different way, it'd be nice to see the trends.
Okay, and what I'll do is I'll work on that, ma'am, and I'll try and develop something for you for the next reporting period.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
One thing I can tell you is, just from my own knowledge, most of the statistics, as far as you were asking about, in the past years, in the past month, it's running pretty close. We do have, usually around the holidays, we see a significant increase, usually from November to probably the 1st of February, and then after that it kind of starts tapering off, and then during the summer months there's a slight increase, and their statistics are running pretty close to what we've had in the past.
Great. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, ma'am, you're welcome.
Occasionally we have inmates from Hidalgo, and maybe from other areas as well. Hidalgo's the one I keep seeing. Do you want those taken out before you think of it? Because if your purpose is to understand Grant County population, maybe we should just focus on them.
Thanks for catching that. Yes, I would prefer to focus on Grant County.
Does that make sense?
Great. Thank you.
Any questions for Mike?
Hello, Con.
Go ahead, did you have anything else?
What was your question again, sir?
I just asked if there was any further questions for you.
Oh, no.
Okay. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I probably misspoke last month when I said there wasn't no significant road damage, when in fact after the rains quit and I've been out evaluating roads, we have lost quite a bit of material, either washed away in the bar ditch or lost the cap material on top of the roads. Of course, you all know we had significant damage out at Wind Canyon. We also had some rain damage, quite a bit of rain damage up there off the County Sand Road. It's going to take us a little bit longer for our blades to make round trips, because we're not just blading roads, we're actually fixing them right now. It's kind of dried out a little bit. So I'd appreciate if residents just have a little bit of patience with us. I'm probably going to have to get a local contractor to help us on something. We've got a lot of culverts that are just plugged up. He's got an apparatus to help us clean it out. I'm probably going to be talking to him sometime this week about getting a cost estimate to help us out on that part of it. We did finish capping Little Walnut Road, and it came out real nice. We're working on some roads off of Rosedale Road right now that are just in horrible shape that we're trying to get capped right now. And then there's some damage out there in Arenas Valley area that we're also, as soon as we get done with Rosedale, we're going to move out there and work on those roads out there too. As far as patching right now, the material that they're using, they're shipping up there to Solis Pass, from what I understand, and paving out there. They're using a 1-inch mix, and it doesn't work real good for patching at all for what we do. So we're just going to have a little bit of patience till they get done with it. I think they got 2 more weeks up there to get finished with that, and then we'll get back to patching also on there. Other than that, it's pretty much business as usual.
Any questions? What was that question?
Somebody's passing Canton County?
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a contractor, but the only place we can get mix is from Southwest, and they've got the contract to get the hot mix up to them.
Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Before I forget to, they are scheduled to be in. Hopefully that contractor's not going to be paving up there on Friday. They did last Friday. And if not, they're going to move over for that contract that they've got for us over on Cuddy Sand and get that to about 1.1 miles of an overlay project that we're going to do for our LGRF. And if they can't do it on Friday, they're planning on being over there Saturday and Sunday to pave that over there, to get it out of the way.
Good question. Mr. Villa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Maintenance department working real hard over at the fairgrounds. Obviously, the fair is going to be starting, so we're just trying to make sure everything is functioning right. over there, so they're working really hard. Baton Park, we had some vandalism there at Baton Park with the contested stand bathrooms, and so they're over there trying to clean that up and work really hard on that. Airport, everything's running smooth. We are trying to fill a full-time position that we lost. So I'll be in that position for a while until we get somebody filled to help out Rebecca out there. Of course, you got the budget from Cota Caminos, and I want to thank him also for working really hard over the last few years of trying to get that running really well. On the fire side, we did have a small fire last night in Silver Acres, a grass fire. People have to realize that even though it's not, it hasn't been raining as much anymore, those fine fuels, those weeds dry up pretty quick. So a person trying to burn his weeds just got away from him a little bit, no damage. We were able to get on it with Silver Fire and Tyrone pretty quick last night, and so just want to tell the public to make sure that, if you're in the Silver City limits, they do have a burn permit that you have to go through. Grant County does not, but you still have to contact your local district fire department chief or fire department and make sure that you're doing things properly. And as you know, the weeds are high now because of a lot of the rain, but they're going to dry up just as quickly now. So we're supposed to get some moisture coming in this week, but I just want people to be make sure that they're taking every precaution when they start to use weed eaters and chainsaws and all that kind of stuff. So, unless you have any questions for me, that's all I have.
Just a quick one. Go ahead. Is there any penalty for doing such a burn without having contacted the fire department?
At this point, there is not. The county does not have a fire restriction or in place at all. Until then it would be in the restrictions. But we have lifted them, so there's no restrictions within the county. The city, I can't speak for.
Right, no, the city has its own, but you said they have to contact the fire department.
Right.
And I just said it's common sense.
Right, and the other thing too is it's just not the fire department, it's district, it's central dispatch, because if people see smoke, that's basically what happened last night. The neighbors were eating dinner and looked out the window and saw somebody burning, and they kind of spooked them a little bit, and I can see why, because the grass was 3 feet high, and so they called the fire department out. So we were out there and spoke to the property owner, and we want to make sure if I can get that message out, that's what I want to do. On the other thing, real quick too, next week on the 29th, with the grant money I got for the risk reduction wildfire program, we're having our first meeting with Dos Griego residents at the Lutheran Church, and I will be sending an email with that flyer to all the commissioners if you choose to attend. It's a 2-hour meeting on Saturday the 29th, so forgot to mention that.
So there is no burn permit issued in the county? Is that what?
That's correct. And
why don't we issue burn permits?
Because, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Edwards, because if you look at the county, the vast county that we have here, if you look in areas where ranchers that have always did their own weeds and did stuff like that, so if you put a restriction in place, then you're limiting those people to burn what they've done for 100 years. Trash is illegal, obviously, but when it comes to manning their fields and doing whatever they like to do to keep it under control, then it limits those folks from doing it, and that's one of the reasons. Yeah, closer to town might be a better idea, but I think when you go countywide, then you restrict those people from doing things they've done for generations.
So is it possible to do something around non-agriculture burning? Would that be possible?
Well, we're standing within 1,000 feet of someone's home or something.
Right.
It's possible, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, it's possible. But again, I think it all comes down to basic common sense. I think what we have now is just making sure that people understand the risk that they're in when they start to burn and want to burn weeds. Obviously, trash again is illegal in the state of New Mexico. You really shouldn't be burning piles bigger than a Volkswagen. That's what the limit is to the EPA. But some people pile weeds and limbs and brushes and they burn them. But again, that's where the fire departments come in, and that's where central dispatch comes in. So I just ask the neighbors to be diligent when they see people burning or they see smoke, call it in, so that way dispatch can say, well, Randy V is burning, and he's called us and said he'd be burning today. The fire department knows, and that way it doesn't get people in a panic.
So on another topic, I just want to ask about the vandalism out at Baton Park. Did the vandalism happen inside the concession stand or outside of it?
On the outside, but they were able to bash the sliding aluminum doors. But really, talking to law enforcement, what they've done is they figured that those people that vandalized started in Santa Clara and did some damage there because it all happened within hours. Then they worked their way to Baton Park. Then they actually went into Fort Baird, into some of those old structures, and did some damage there. So it was probably a group of people that were just out on either high or whatever, and just raging havoc as they just went down from Santa Clara to Baton to into Fort Baird. So it all happened in the same night, so they're probably the same people.
Nice.
Any further questions? Mr. Lauer? Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. Just a quick update on the asset management plan. We are still working on adding those critical items. All the field work is done, so now it's downloading the data and then figuring out where that data fits into the plan and coordinating that with the contractor. Rosedale Road, we had a little hold up, but that was because we got more money. By you guys approving that amended resolution today, hopefully we can get all the paperwork signed to finalize that loan grant agreement and get that ready to go and out for bid very quickly. Whiskey Creek Volunteer Fire Department addition is out for bid. I believe we close tomorrow on that. So we'll hopefully have something on next month's agenda for awarding. We talked about the Water Trust Board. So I've already been working on that application, but in order to hit send, I needed the resolution today. My hope is that because this one does fit within the drainage portion, that we won't have to apply for Colonias on that. That'll open up just going for the Tyrone ADA, which is another one that we have to design on. So kind of just background of my thoughts on why we're trying to do this. I'm doing a training tomorrow afternoon, the development permit applications for contractors in the area. This is an application that is required by the National Flood Insurance Program. It keeps our county in compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program, so we've been advertising it, putting it out there. I'm just putting that out again, so if people hear it or the media wants to put it out again. It is tomorrow afternoon. The public is welcome to attend. It is geared towards the contractors, and we had to start getting the septic installers to understand that they needed to do it also. So that's kind of what brought it up, as maybe an education needs to happen. For Tucasa, Randy Hernandez and I are working to start the closeout of the CDBG grant, so hopefully we can get that finalized and finished up here pretty quick. And Randy talked about the airport, and that prompted me to write some notes. The backup generator out at the airport, that's the FAA funding, which is the federal funds. We have a Caterpillar in place right now. Caterpillar is the one that was recommended through the bid process. They cannot meet the Buy American requirements. So we are going to have to switch that to a Cummins generator, and right now that's all being worked out through our contractor, BHI as the engineer, and they're trying to get that situation figured out. It's not going to be a cost difference at all, and Apex Solutions, the one that won the award, is going to eat all the costs of doing the replacement on that. So just a little update on that. It's a cost difference to them. It is, but not to us. Yeah. So, and oh yeah, another hurricane. So if there's any questions, that's my report.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So I guess I'd like to have a little update on Santa Rita Volunteer Fire Department Hanover Station.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Keston, so the issue is Chief Standard has stepped down. He's had some medical issues. So I'm in the process of working with them it is complete, it is being used. They did get funding for it already this year. So we're looking on trying to figure out when they want to have a open house for the community and for you all to come out as well. They ran into a stone wall when the chief had some medical issues, and it had been gone for quite a while, but now he's back, and he spoke to me that he's actually in the process of getting me a letter. So they won't have a new chief until they revote in December, but still working with the members out there to get something so that the public can come out and see what we've got.
Okay, so the job is complete, the contractor's been paid?
That's correct.
That's what I need to know. Thank you.
Further questions? Any updates, any news on the energy conservation work?
So that was the resolution that we had to table till next month before the New Mexico Finance Authority. That was the next step that I talked about last month of hoping to have it on this month, and I pushed it through, and we're just not ready.
Okay.
So that's why we asked you to table it today.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Further questions for Mr. Meyer? Is there any further county reports? If not, we'll go to the elected officials. Mrs. Castillo. Okay, thank you. Mr. Turrieta.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. For starters, I do want to thank my employees, my chief deputy, my chief appraiser have done excellent job during our protest period. Not only that, we're in the process now to roll over our tax rolls over to the treasurer's office, and it is moving very well, and glad to work closely with Steve here. We will have our warrant and abstracts possibly within the next week or two, so everything's moving pretty good, so people can get their tax bills, and I guess Steve will talk about that. Every year we send employees over to an IAAO course for the International Association of Assessing Officers courses, and I'm proud to say that we just got an email that 18 additional students over the last years offering the new courses. We have had a 73% completion rate for the school. In the past, it was over 45 to 50% completion rate. Desiree Liska, she actually passed course 1, and that's the fundamentals of real estate, real property appraisal, and that's one of the toughest courses to take. And interesting to say, Denisha Luceto, I asked her 2 weeks before the income approach to valuation, and that is a knockoff of the course 1, and that is one of the most intense courses, and I'm so proud of her that she actually passed that course, and she's on her way to actually get certified as a New Mexico certified appraiser. Also Tracy Bernstein and Matthew James actually passed the course 600, and that's the principle and techniques of cadastral mapping. So I just got to give them a great big hand, and it is a very intense course. It's a whole week of classes, and then they take a 4-hour exam after that. Once again, we're just still waiting for some more information on the parcel correction, and we'll have more information, and I'll probably be talking to Mr. Ladish down the road so we can actually coordinate all this. So we're just waiting on that. One other thing is I do want to congratulate for the candidates for the fire departments of PA, because now I can sleep more. I can sleep safe now because they've got their certification. I can understand what they went through. I also, in the United States Navy, took a lot of extensive firefighting courses, so I got to really hand it to them. Once again, status quo in the assessor's office. We do have 2 opening. They're temporary positions, and 1 full-time position at this moment. Thank you to the county manager and the county commission for allowing that to happen. I would just like to make a small comment on Gila Regional Medical Center. I just got back from Tucson, Arizona, from Banner University, and gave a report on my wife. And I just want to thank Gila Regional Medical Center for picking up the pieces. And it was a very, very intense 15 days for my wife. And I do want to give the big pat in the back to Gila Regional Medical Center for the 15 days that she spent in there. And it was very, very rough. And the care was wonderful. Let me tell you, Gila Regional did a fantastic job. October 13th of 2018, Santa Clara is going to have a 150-year-old birthday, so I'd really ask all you commissioners and elected officials to show up. We'll have music in the park, we'll have vendors, car show, and I think it's very important, 150 years for Santa Clara. So I do stand for questions.
Any questions? No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members.
Mr. Armendariz?
My Chief Deputy, Veronica Rodriguez, is going to be handling our report for today.
Okay, great.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. For the 2017 property taxes, this is through September 17, 2018, we have collected $5,548,405.41. This is 93.29% of the total amount of property taxes. From our last report, August 15, 2018, we have collected $12,113.79. For our fiscal year starting July 1st, 2018, the total receipts have been $3,164,553.23. From last month to this month, it is $1,036,589.06. We currently have a temporary position open. I want to thank the board for allowing us that position, and we are currently accepting the applications and look forward to filling it. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's all of the county report, elected official reports, Commissioner?
Sure. I'll go first. So I want to personally invite everybody to the Grant County Fair. As you know, it's happening this week. Really, it gets started Thursday morning, 9 o'clock, with the swine show, kind of dear to my heart there. But that's not all. That's not what it's all about. Also, there's the rodeo each and every night, the livestock each day, fruits and vegetables in the display areas, arts, crafts, dance every night after the rodeo. It's the largest agricultural gathering in the county. I think that it's something that you ought to go out and see. It can only get better with your participation. Number two, Mr. Chairman, Silver Schools has invited us to, I got it right here, to do a community partner group, and I think everybody's probably gotten that email. Maybe you've participated in the doodle chart. However, as commissioners, probably only two of us should attend, so I would hope that we could figure who wanted to go and who could go. The first meeting is October 10th from 11 to 2. I am available that day. I'm only available to do this for you for about 3 more months, however, so...
I think it'd be next month to member of our delegation.
And I cannot go on the 10th, so.
I said I could. I mean, I did fill out the doodle chart, and I'm ambivalent. I don't have a driving need to do it.
Neither do I.
Right.
It was an offer.
Right, same here. Jeff?
Yeah, so it doesn't matter to me.
Okay, I'll see you there.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Do that.
No, I didn't say we wanted to do that. We said we would.
Thank you both very much for doing that.
I think it's impressive that the district is trying to organize it. I've not yet met Mr. Clough, but I look forward to doing that, and I'm glad he's doing that.
It's Clough.
Thank you. I would like...
I have met him, and it's Clough.
Clough. Like rough.
Do you have There you go.
I do not, thank you.
So he's Clough, rough and ready.
Do you have anything for Commissioner report, Mr. Brown?
Just a brief thing. I want to thank our county manager for resolving getting it. I believe our contract is on track now with the union. Is that correct?
I'm going to say I made one more attempt. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you for working on it. I look forward to resolution.
Okay, there's nothing.
Mr. Chair?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I move that we adjourn. Oh, we have to read off the whole thing about this. It's been so long since we've had an executive session.
Yeah, is there a motion to go into executive session according to the NICW?
I move to go into executive session according to NMSA 1978-10-15-1H2. And that's for discussion of County Manager Charlene Webb's performance evaluation.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Will we adjourn from executive session, or will we come back out?
Yeah, I think we'll adjourn from in there. And no action will be taken? No.
Chairman, Commissioners, are you all aware that you will be entering executive session?
Yes, I am, yes.
Yes.
Can you do that? Awesome. Yeah, now we're in executive session.